Years ago, we used to see a picture about our planet or Earth planet, and we used to see these colors of the picture. She's my mom. She represents the audience of her main speech, and the picture represents two different descriptions about our planet. The first one, in this case, in the right side, represents the colors green and blue, and which means it is abundance and hydration. In the other hand, in the left side, nowadays we can see another aspect. Almost seems like a moon. We see colors yellow and brown, and that represents draft, or in another case, death. Thank you, mom. Today, drought is a new image every year. The dangerous plague of drought affects not only agriculture and livestock, but everything at general level. For example, in Chile, the mega droughts affect over the half part of the country. Other examples, we have the states of California in the United States, Mexico, Spain, and another countries of Europe, obviously the Middle East, Asia, and other places. They have begun to ration the non-basic use of water, such as irrigation of parks and in parks of gardens. Today, I want to convince you to conserve water by using something very simple like water water bottles. Why? Because I will emphasize the effects of the world of storing water using something simple like water bottles. The water situation is critical. However, I have been able to see how much these vital resources can be preserved by reserving it in bottles and reusing for domestic activities, uh, hygienic purposes, and even to water plants. So let's see why it is important to preserve water in recent times. The drought is affecting the sources where we get our food. Obviously, without water, vegetables and fruits die and are not needed to supply the population or the demands of the buyer, because the lack of basic resources due to the lack of rain, in other words, water, affects sales prices as they rise and make it increasingly difficult for families to acquire these resources. According to the World Health Organization, in May 2022, an estimated 50 million people globally are affected by droughts every year. The main interested in having water look for other methods to preserve their food or goods. That is why they resort to other somewhat expensive methods, and that means families needs to expend much more money. The drought has had a macro effect on all aspects. However, we as individuals can find ways to preserve these vital results and survive against this horrible drought plague. We can see how a simple bottle of water that we normally consume to satisfy our thirst can help us save thousands and thousands of liters of water, regardless of its size. Even it may be, for example, in this case, 1 liter, but it will be a gallon. Just to open the tap and fill the whole water, and just to save in some very important place in our home, and for reusing later for domestic activities, hygienic purposes, and even we can just to use for our plants. With at least 7-gallon bottles of water placed in a warehouse or to one side of each strategic place where water is used, it helps us to be able to use the water kept in the bottle instead of the tap to avoid the expenditure of thousands of liters of water necessary to survive in the face of a water crisis. For example, every day we spend 10 liters per flush in the toilet. A bottle of water inside, like this, you use less water and works just as well. Reusable water bottles are only for being used for personal hygiene and food. And this is the cheapest method to conserve water, instead to make a tank under the ground, because that method is so expensive. But the problem, the gains point for this action is the possibility that the concentration of organic compounds in the liquid that is put these bottles can become dangerous to our health because, according to Yuri Gonchar, and represent is in the lifestyle Sputnik magazine, she shares she shared she shared testing of drinking water in Russia over the months the harmful substances that these bottles release multiply. Despite the problem of accumulation of bacteria and fungi in the containers, a plastic or glass bottle can frequently replace. One of the reasons why people don't want to store bottles, first is the accumulation of bacteria and fungi, but the second is about it represents a bad aspect in the home and that does not look ethical or elegant. The positive results of using the bottles are that your water bills will decrease and that little by little they contribute to the planet in the preservation of water. In addition, a good habit of being able to use water well is created. So all this works very well if one changes the containers and the water frequently. The secret is change the water frequently. So there are many points for and against the reuse of bottled water. However, in a world where drought is becoming more common, water is the source that will give us life during this time, and not only to preserve these vital results, but to reduce our expenses, in this case, for example, water bills. So, people must carry out this action to take care of the water by using water bottles. Why? Because you will learn to appreciate the water and how valuable it is when stored in bottles. You will see that the water service will be very low and you will learn to be friendly with the planet. Reuse water through bottles with proper hygiene.